dread. In the months that followed, stories spread like wildfire. Miners swore they saw Terran hulls drifting near asteroid belts, silent sentinels watching. Convoys vanished, only to reappear under escort of human warships no alien dared challenge. In hidden sectors, entire graveyards still stirred, waiting for their turn. The galaxy understood too late. Humanity had never been weak, never been extinct. They had been waiting. And now that their codes had been unlocked, their waiting armada had awakened. The stars themselves seemed dimmer beneath their shadow. The galaxy whispered in terror. Humans don't build fleets, they preserve storms. Shadows in the records. For ages, the stars whispered of the Terrans only as a footnote, a race once loud, now silenced by the weight of time. To most of the galaxy's civilizations, humanity was nothing more than an ancient cautionary tale, ambitious, reckless, consumed by wars that eventually burned themselves out. The Council archives recorded their disappearance with sterile certainty, extinct, scattered, irrelevant. Scholars debated if Earth itself had ever truly existed, for no updated signals, no transmissions, no colonies bore the human mark for over 7 centuries. Their codes were dead languages. Their fleets, if they ever were fleets, were presumed dismantled or rotted into dust long before the modern empires rose. The younger species laughed at the mythos. Humans, they would say, were fire, bright, short, and easily extinguished. No civilization that vanished so completely could matter in the present age, and so, for millennia, humanity's absence became an accepted truth. The silence of Earth was the silence of a grave. But silence does not always mean emptiness. Sometimes it means waiting. Echoes in the void. It began as a whisper along the trade lanes near the Persian expanse. A long-range listening array, operated by the Kelari Union, reported anomalous bursts, tight beam transmissions bouncing between forgotten coordinates. At first, they dismissed it as relic static, remnants of collapsed starbases. Yet the signals persisted, rhythmic, structured, not random noise but patterns, patterns that matched nothing in current galactic lexicons. Curiosity drove smaller expeditions toward the expanse. They found ruins scattered across asteroid belts, hollowed stations, dark shipyards, and orbital platforms veiled in dust. Hulls, skeletal and vast, floated in silence. The aliens cataloged them as wrecks, monuments to a species that had not survived its own fire. Still, unease lingered. The signals pulsed like a heartbeat. When decoded partially, they did not speak of surrender or ruin. They spoke in codes, long, intricate strings that seemed to await an answer. The Council dismissed the findings. Ghost chatter, they ruled, nothing but the echo of an extinct race. But the patrol fleet stationed nearby began to notice something else. Power fluctuations, energy signatures rising within the supposed wrecks, weak at first, then stronger with each passing cycle. The void was not as dead as they had believed. The lock turns. The first undeniable moment came when a derelict shipyard, classified for centuries as abandoned, lit up. Automated beacons ignited, flooding the sector with blinding strobes of light. A cascade of binary codes was broadcast outward, each line referencing protocols older than any current empire. The Kelari engineers attempted to override it, but every system locked them out. Their consoles displayed a single message. Access denied. Authorization, humanity required. And then the codes shifted. Layer by layer, doors opened within the ruins. Sealed vaults hissed as atmosphere purged. Hidden engines, silent for 1,000 years, throbbed like hearts awakening. The graveyard was no grave. It was a lockbox, and the codes, forgotten by all but the systems themselves, had finally found their key. The awakening of the Armada. When the first warship stirred, the galaxy watched in disbelief. It was not a fragile relic but a colossus of steel, its hull black as obsidian, etched with scars yet unbroken. As power surged through its veins, entire asteroid belts trembled from the gravitational shock of its engines. The vessel bore a name etched in Terran tongue, Resolute Dawn. And it was not alone. One by one, shadows moved. Titans of metal groaned as their slumber ended. Massive dreadnoughts unfurled like leviathans shaking off chains. Carriers, bristling with weapons lost to modern understanding, ignited their drives. Frigates and destroyers, sleek and merciless, reactivated in coordinated silence. It was a fleet, no, a storm of fleets. Thousands of ships, hidden in plain sight for centuries, rose together. Their engines, once dark, roared to life in perfect synchronization. And as their lights pierced the void, the galaxy realized with horror, these were not derelicts. These were guardians waiting. The waiting armada of humanity had not rusted away. It had endured, preserved with codes no alien could ever break, shielded by silence until the appointed moment. Terror in motion. The nearby alien patrols attempted to hail them. No response. They tried to jam their signals. Nothing. Finally, they mustered fleets of their own, encircling the sector with modern warships, confident that relics could not match present technology. Then the humans moved. Without a word, without a signal, the ancient fleet executed maneuvers so precise, so terrifyingly efficient, that the watching admirals froze. The Terran dreadnoughts shifted into attack formations, their weapons locking on every hostile vessel within range. The smaller ships darted like predators, cutting through interference nets with ease. And when the first alien cruiser fired, the Armada answered. Weapons long forgotten by history spoke again. Beams of condensed fury lanced across the void, carving through modern shields as though they were paper. Missiles swarmed in patterns too complex for countermeasures to anticipate. Drones, ancient yet flawless, awakened from hidden bays and tore into squadrons like mechanical wolves. The aliens had come expecting ruins. Instead, they faced gods of war. Entire task forces vanished under the fury of the Armada. Fleets that had ruled regions for centuries were dismantled in minutes. And through it all, the Terran ships fought as one, unified by codes, responding to commands that no living alien could intercept. The graveyard had become a battlefield, and the humans had not forgotten how to fight. Silence shattered. Word spread like wildfire. From the Kelari Union to the Sarathi Dominion, from the merchant clans to the mighty council itself, the story was the same. The Terrans are back. But it was not just their return that unsettled the galaxy. It was the implication. For if this armada had waited here, preserved in silence for millennia, then what else might still be hidden? Were there fleets beneath forgotten moons, buried under oceans, drifting in nebulae, their codes still locked away until the right moment? Every empire that had laughed at humanity's absence now shivered with unease. The thought whispered across taverns, command rooms, and courts alike. If this is what they left behind when they vanished, then perhaps they had never vanished at all. Perhaps humanity had not died, but chosen to wait. The legacy of the forgotten. The Armada did not invade. It did not conquer. It simply existed, vast, unyielding, awake. Patrols traced its movements as it organized, regrouped, tested weapons, and mapped the stars anew. It was as though the fleet had opened its eyes after a long sleep, and now it remembered its duty. Some whispered that humanity had foreseen their fall, and rather than perish, they had locked away their strength for the day they would rise again. Others feared that the Terrans had always been here, watching silently, letting the galaxy grow complacent. But one truth eclipsed all speculation. The myth of humanity's extinction was shattered. They had not been fire that burned itself out. They had been embers waiting for wind. And now the storm had returned. Dread across the stars. In the aftermath, no empire dared to challenge the Terran fleet again. Even whispers of hostility were silenced by the memory of what those ruins had done to modern armadas. Instead, the galaxy turned to rumor. They spoke of Earth, not as a dead world but as a throne. They speculated about hidden codes that might awaken other legions. They wondered if humanity walked among them still, guiding the fleets from shadows. The message was clear. Humanity does not abandon its creations. Humanity preserves them. Armadas slumber not as ruins, but as storms awaiting command. And so fear spread, not through battles, but through silence. Every derelict in the galaxy was now suspect. Every ruin might not be a ruin. Every shadow in the void might be a Terran sentinel, waiting for its forgotten codes to awaken it. The galaxy had mocked the grave. Now it trembled at the truth. Humanity does not die. Humanity waits. And when the silence breaks, the stars themselves remember why Terrans were once feared.